In this episode I will explain how I used tidal streams to lower cost of my voyage. These streams are important to consider when sailing in regions of sea where such streams are strong. The voyage part of the episode covers our journey from Kilmore Quay on the southern Irish coast to Arklow on the eastern coast. This is a video of my series Adventures with my Trawler Yacht Whitehorse, a Grand Banks 36. Along the French coast, tidal streams were not as important to watch for. But in the Irish Sea, they can be very strong and influence the cost of fuel considerably. Therefore, I want to take this opportunity to explain how we took advantage of such streams by taking them into our planning. Tidal streams occur especially where the sea is forced into a confined space, like a channel, or, as in the case of the Irish Sea, where the coast of the UK in the east and Ireland in the west obstruct the free flow of tidal waters. As the earth turns from east to west, also does the bulge of the high water. But in the east of the Irish Sea, the land masses of the UK are in the way, so the water has to flow around the UK and enters the Irish Sea from the south and to a lesser grade also from the north. Without obstruction of the land masses, you would expect that at a given longitude the tides are at approximately the same time, because both places face the moon the same way. But this logical fact is not true. If you check the tidal times for Kilmore Quay and Dublin, you will see that, for example, high water is nearly 6 hours later in Dublin than in Kilmore Quay, although they are at nearly the same longitude. The reason is that the water needs these 6 hours to flow from the south through the Irish Sea to Dublin. So when Dublin has highest waters, Kilmore Quay is already again at low waters. The result of these differences is a steady stream in and out of the Irish Sea. This can be seen in the Admiralty tidal stream atlases. You can also download an app like iStreams to get this information online. An example of such maps is shown here. There are maps for every hour at, after and before the high water at a certain place. In our example, Dover is this place. You can see this at the bottom left corner of the web. Our map example shows the tidal streams 2 hours after Dover high water. You can see arrows from Dublin in southern direction out of the Irish Sea. These depict the streams and their speed. The arrow near Rosslare at the southern western point of Ireland shows the numbers 16.29. This means that the usual stream speed at nip tides is 1.6 knots, while it is 2.9 knots at spring tide. Neap tide occurs when the moon is in an angle of 90 degrees to the line between Earth and Sun, while spring tide is when Sun, Moon and Earth are on one line. This graphic may make this more clear visually. The moon phase on 13th April 2024 was a waxing crescent, 5 days young, so it was 2 days before neap tides. The difference between 1.6 and 2.9 knots is 1.3 knots, so for every day passing, the speed increases or decreases by about 0.2 knots, making it 0.4 knots for 2 days. On 13th April 2024 we could therefore expect a stream speed of about 2 knots in southerly direction when traveling around 6 p.m. If you planned to travel at 11 a.m. you would have about 1.8 knots stream with you, so you could either drive with the same RPM but 1.8 knots faster, or reduce RPM and save fuel. As you can see, that taking tidal streams into account in planning your voyage can make a considerable difference in your boat's fuel consumption. Taking 8 knots as standard speed, 1.8 knots less means about 30% less fuel consumption. This day we travelled from Kilmore Quay to Arklow, which was a distance of about 93 kilometers or 6 hours. The sea was calm and there was nearly no wind. As I have explained in this video, we took tidal streams into account when planning, and therefore we left Kilmore Quay already at 8:15 in the morning. This was just 25 minutes after high water. As it was only 2 days after new moon, we were still near spring tide, and therefore we had about 2 knots or more of stream pushing us northwards, allowing us to save fuel. The sea proved to be very calm. Unfortunately, we had only about 11 degrees, so that it was too cold to enjoy our flybridge, and we kept in the warmth of the saloon. We had time to take our breakfast while driving, engaging the autopilot for keeping the direction and holding an open eye on any other boats approaching us. After about 2 hours of travel, the sea got even more calm. Yes, nearly still. Only the steady humming of our engines and the quiet splashing of the waves that our boat created were disturbing the silence of our sailing. Just as planned, we reached Arklow after about 6 hours. To get to the marina, we had to navigate around a long wall that reached out to the sea to protect the outflow of the river of Osckar from sometimes rough waves. Then we steered up the canal along long quays from freight ships, but there was little or no traffic at the time of our arrival. The Marina in Arklow is actually just a long pontoon bridge, but it offers power and water, and it is really near a large shopping centre and the town. After having bought our supplies and stowed them to the boat, we went to discover the center of town. I liked the colored houses that made this town lively. We found a nice restaurant to settle down and have some early dinner with excellent made steaks. In the evening we enjoyed boat life, and I planned for the next day, which would lead us to the Irish capital of Dublin. We were very excited to visit that city and have our first day off. This will be covered in my next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe free of charge to my YouTube channel and don't forget to press the like button. Thank you very much for all of you that have already subscribed. I really appreciate your support. Goodbye until our next journey to Dublin.